Hey all, here are OS Reviews. In this video, we're taking a quick look at another keyboard from MelGeek. This is their MADE68, and this is one of their first magnetic switch keyboards that we've checked out, allowing you to customize the activation point. For example, you can dictate that X amount of force will correspond to an actual key being registered as a press, versus on normal mechanical keyboards, if you want to change the activation force, the pressure you have to exert, you have to change the entire key switch, versus on these, it's all built in, and then just using the software, you can adjust yourself using a slider on their app. And the MADE68 will also come with specs suitable for gaming, things like a 8000 Hz polling rate, as well as very low latency at under 0.125 milliseconds. You'll be able to respond instantly in your gameplay, and these are their in-house magnetic switches. And to further cater towards gamers, they also have built in a snap tap functionality. Originally a feature exclusive to Razer keyboards, it means if you are pressing two buttons, it will prioritize the last key that you're pressing even when two buttons are being pressed at the same time. So you don't have to release on the current button in order for you to tap a new one. You can more quickly switch back and forth between them and holding onto different key combinations instead of having to, again, physically release and then press again, which might take longer. So that's all features trying to decrease the latency, helping achieve more rapid-fire, rapid trigger settings as you are gaming. It'll be compatible with pretty much any system plug-and-play, including Windows, Mac, Linux, Chromebooks, so on and so forth. There's just a quick user guide, braided USB Type-C to Type-A cable, in addition to a keycap holder, as well as some spare keycaps, although obviously you can use your own as well if desired. So here is the keyboard itself, and first impressions being it is very well built because the frame here on the sides are crafted out of aluminum alloy, giving it more of an industrial look, and the MADE68 series are inspired by the four elements: air, earth, fire, and water as part of the design motifs going on. This one here is the earth version, which is in white, but again, depending on the four elements that you pick, they will come in different colors as well, such as earth looking like this, fire is going to be accented in red, versus water has a blue accent on the light box. So that is another kind of unique aspect of the design. The strip here on the back will illuminate when it's turned on, sets it apart from the crowd a little bit more. There's that Type-C port, and on the very back we have just some soft touch rubber feet, kind of an interesting grid-like pattern to the plastic. Now, maybe one feature that we are missing on the build, though, would be adjustable kickstands or feet to further elevate the angle or position. It is going to be set at this one mode, but it is slightly ergonomic and tilted upwards, as you can tell. So as you're typing, for the most part, it should still feel quite comfortable. So it definitely is quite distinctive looking, which is something that we have referenced as well and seen on past MelGeek keyboards. They do put a bit more attention and care into a lot of these small design touches, just making it feel a bit more personalized. And this keyboard is called the MADE68 because there are 68 keys. It is a 65% layout, though, compared to a full-size keyboard. You are missing that numpad on the side, so it's more suited if you are looking for something compact, taking up less space on a desk, though they also sell a 84 version, which has 84 keys. That is a 75% layout. Here's a quick size comparison with a standard phone, around 6.5 inches, just to serve as a quick reference. Anyways, one feature that is technically missing on this model, though, would be support for wireless connectivity. It doesn't have a built-in battery, so there is no Bluetooth or 2.4G. It is a 100% wired keyboard on this model, but kind of makes sense because they are going after the lowest latency possible for, again, purposes like gaming. You want to reduce any lag. However, for more versatility, maybe they can include also Bluetooth, perhaps in a next generation model, particularly in this more compact form. It might just make it more easy if you are taking it with you when on the go. And connecting the keyboard, you'll see the LED lighting automatically start up. If you tap on the caps lock, by the way, it also turns blue as a visual indication, and by default, that light box on the back here will be illuminated, a pretty even glow. We can turn it off by tapping on function and the Q key to activate or deactivate this function. So it is a fully backlit keyboard as well. That being said, the letters themselves don't really shine through. They're using ABS plastic for the keycaps, which is pretty durable. It's not going to wear off over time. But one slight downside to this durability is, again, the letters themselves won't really shine. But otherwise, it's still looking quite good. Actually, it's pretty cool and creates a nice silhouette or profile as you are working there in the dark. Here's a quick sound test of what these magnetic switches So it doesn't really produce too much sound. If you're using it in kind of a shared space, I would say it's comparable to something like kind of linear switches or brown switches. It's not going to be too distracting to those around you. But at the same time, just like regular mechanical keyboards, it still feels pretty satisfying to type on. Very clacky, everything feels pretty well stabilized and consistent from a sound perspective, so I do like the way that it sounds and feels overall. Now, because this is a compact 65% layout, there are some functions that will double up in terms of their purposes. For instance, if you want to change the volume, you can actually use the arrow keys if you press on the function key at the same time to raise it higher or lower. So this is what it looks like if I turn off all the backlight. That is actually independent of the light box on the top. Again, these can be operated separate from one another. And you can also tap on X key here to cycle into different modes. So now we're in a RGB, which is going to be slowly changing into colors of the rainbow in this kind of gradient effect. Still looks quite neat, although the light box on the very top is going to be set at this single white color. The strip is not going to be customizable, it's not RGB, but the backlight underneath the keys will be. And the next mode will be kind of a breathing pattern that slowly strobes in the white color here. We can tap on it again to look at another rainbow pattern that's flickering from the left to the right. And this next one is a reactive mode, so as we are pressing, it's going to ripple outwards, as you can tell there. Perhaps better as just a demonstration mode. Next one here is a memory function that will just illuminate the key for a couple of seconds as you're typing and then slowly turn it off. And we can tap again into kind of a candy colored mode, which is a bit more random in terms of its pattern, but looking quite decent. And then once more into the white one that we started with. That being said, we can also tap on the function C key to change the color into an individual one of our choice. So now it's turning green versus blue versus red. It's not going to be reacting, but it will just be sitting at that static color. So those are all the preset RGB controls we have on the main keyboard section. And a quick look at the companion software MelGeek Hive, which also works with their other keyboards. After connecting by USB, we're able to adjust properties like macros and shortcuts. In addition to under lighting, you can go into more personalized controls, such as whether you want a specific key to have a different color versus the others, including options to select all, as well as reverse the color, including this pretty cool view, which is a calibration page that tells you every single keycap at the moment, how much force is being exerted on it. You get the snapshot of all the keys kind of fluctuating as I'm pressing down, as you can tell there, in real time. A pretty neat visualization, and also you're able to take a look at, again, live key travel, in addition to how many keys I'm pressing down. They can also be tested. Some examples of shortcuts and macros that you can adjust based on different operating systems, including media, can also be found down below here. And you can also toggle into 4 different profile modes, or layers. So let's say you're using the keyboard when you're doing Photoshop and you want to save some custom commands for that purpose. You can set it as one of the profiles and then switch it into the other one for regular typing versus one for gaming, so on and so forth. A label can also be adjusted here on the side, again for things like typing versus esports. Now under the performance section, this is where you can adjust the variable actuation point, allowing you to change it by increments of 0.1 millimeters. So again, how much force you want to exert on the key for it to register as an actual press. So we can select on specific keys here and then change the, again, activation point to be different from other keys. And like other magnetic switch keyboards that we've seen in the past, it is indeed functional. So although the actual feeling of pressing on the key doesn't really change, it's just the sensor inside that can detect, again, how hard, how much you're pressing down for it to be basically more or less sensitive, similar to the kind of DPI setting on a mouse, for example. So for the most part, the app itself is easy enough to operate. That being said, this particular software, MelGeek Hive, is available for Windows and Mac. It's not going to be something you can install on Chrome OS or Linux or Ubuntu, for instance. So even though the keyboard itself is plug and play, working on pretty much any operating system these days, if you want this level of customization, this is still going to be for Windows and Mac. So there we have it, just been a closer look at the MelGeek MADE68. As usual, design continues to be a strong suit of this company's keyboards. The Made series, inspired by the 4 elements, I think is quite clever with some of the motifs. The light box on the rear certainly gives it a more premium touch than other models that we usually see for the around $100 price range that these are going for, and the companion software just again makes it a little bit more customizable. Overall layout and typing experience also feels pretty satisfying and well stabilized. That being said, slight quirks here would be that the letters themselves again don't really shine through, though that might be more of a quirk of ABS plastic in general more than anything else, and the fact that this model is lacking wireless connectivity options. But aside from that, if you're looking for just a very beautiful looking magnetic switch keyboard, which has really low latency as well as custom key combinations, macros, different settings that you're able to play around with, I think this is going to be a decent choice to consider if you like the way that it looks. You can learn more details if interested in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. Again, that's been the MelGeek MADE68.